The weird side of YouTube is a broad concept on YouTube that describes obscure and creepy content that has been uploaded to this site ever since its creation in 2005. The theory is that if you watch enough suggested videos, the algorithm will take you to this so-called weird side of YouTube. A lot of these videos that are termed as part of the weird side of YouTube have been mythologized into some of the most iconic videos on the website in general. Classics like I Feel Fantastic, Who Wants to Gnaw on Human Bones, BlankRoomSoup.avi, Henry Eats, Salad Fingers, Obey the Walrus, Let Me Hear Your War Cry, the Miss Shay St. John videos, Beast, Username 666, Red Mist, the Poochie and Pansy series, the Local 58 videos, and of course Don't Hug Me I'm Scared, are some of the most remembered, as they are creepy, videos on YouTube as a whole. Some of these videos have comedic elements to them, while others are simply terrifying to watch. Some of these videos claim to have curses over them, and others are simply just curse videos in general. Some of these videos have dark and often disturbing backstories behind them, which are totally real, while others simply fake a creepy story in order to fool unsuspecting viewers into believing that what they're seeing is true. But whether these videos are fake or not, the one thing that keeps us coming back to these videos is the fact that they creep and scare the hell out of us. And naturally, the weird side of YouTube videos that are perceived as real scare us the most, while those of fictitious nature may lose some of that initial fear factor. But these fictitious videos are, in my opinion, the better weird side of YouTube videos overall, since these videos are those that are made by some of the most creatively independent minds on the site, who just so happen to make their creations as bone-chilling as possible. Whether they be short films, little art experiments, or flat-out ARGs, these videos are some of not only my personal favorite videos, but also some of the most remembered and cherished videos on YouTube as a whole, with a lot of these videos achieving millions of views. However, one of these videos that I often think gets overlooked from the following examples I just listed just so happens to be my personal favorite weird side of YouTube video of all time. It isn't the most terrifying video out there, nor is it the best made, but this video in particular has always stuck with me ever since I saw it on YouTube when I was a kid, and I feel like this Halloween would be the perfect time to cover it. Oh shit. This video that I'm referring to is Haunt, a creepy video from a long gone internet era. So as a lot of you may already know from my Nostalgia of Brick Films video, I'm a huge fan of stop motion animation. As a kid, I used to make my own stop motion shorts in my free time, with most of them being pretty bad and most of them being completely lost. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that I love stop motion, whether it be the process itself or the look of the footage in general. I've always been gravitated to this art form ever since I was a child. But on that topic of scary videos, stop motion has always had a close affiliation with the genre of horror, practically since film as a medium has existed. A lot of the first animated movies were those that used stop motion, and because a lot of these films were made in the silent era, they were intended as comedies. But the presentation of these old grainy black and white films make them look like horror movies today. This doesn't help with the fact that to many other than myself, stop motion animation naturally looks creepy in general, with some licking the jerky movements and the freakish designs of the puppets and models to be considered something out of the uncanny valley, the same way that seeing a toy or inanimate object moving is to some people, which after all is the whole point of stop motion, to see inanimate objects come to life. The stop motion has generally gotten less creepy over time, with certain filmmakers like Nick Park making the famous and award-winning Wallace and Gromit series as colorful and as friendly as possible. But there are of course other filmmakers who retain the creepy atmosphere of those early stop motion films throughout their own works. There are many examples that you can name of stop motion animators that have an amazing way of using horror to amplify their stories, like Kristine Chevesky, Jiri Barta, Paul Berry, the Bollocks Brothers, the Brothers Quay, Phil Tippett, Henry Selick, and of course Jan Schmonkfire, all of which use their terrifying imagery to tell their compelling stories. However, the most famous of these so-called horror-style stop-motion animators is that of filmmaker Tim Burton. Though Burton is definitely more well known for his live-action films, he also has an immense talent for animated features as well. This is no surprise since Burton got his start in Hollywood by being an animator for Disney in the early 80s, working as an animator for films like The Fox and the Hound, The Black Cauldron, and Tron. Burton has of course made numerous stop-motion features since then, like Frankenweenie, Corpse Bride, and the most famous of which being The Nightmare Before Christmas, which he made with Henry Selick, as well as having stop-motion effect shots in films like Beetlejuice and Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Though The Nightmare Before Christmas is definitely Burton's most well-known animated film, the one that I think has inspired the most independent stop-motion animators is one that he made in his early career, that being his 1982 short film, Vincent. Vincent is a semi-biographical tale of a kid who wants to become Vincent Price, who was a longtime idol of Burton himself, and surprisingly he voices the narration of the short. The overall style of Vincent is very toned down and simple looking, yet it's stylistically very beautiful in its art style and animation. I think this simple style when it comes to Vincent's animation and plot layout is sort of like the foundation / catalyst for the video that I'm going to be discussing right now. I don't think that Vincent was the direct inspiration for this video, but the groundwork and the style are sort of similar. So without further ado, let's go to the feature presentation. On November 3rd of 2006, British film student Glenn Zimitor would post a short film on his YouTube channel, GRZ, titled Haunt. The short is a stop-motion animated horror film that's about 4 minutes and 8 seconds long. In the description for the video, Zimitor says that he made this during college, implying that this film was completed prior to its initial 2006 release date, as Zimitor's LinkedIn page says that he started college in 2005, so the film couldn't have been finished no later than 2005. In another short film that he made titled Lots of Graphite, Zimitor states that he went to the London College of Communication and got a major in film and video, which is also stated on his LinkedIn page. The story of Haunt was apparently based on a dream / nightmare that Glenn's brother Ed had. As Glenn says in the description, it's based on a dream or a nightmare that my brother had as a kid, and I've always wanted to make it into some kind of a visual product since it scared me to death from just being told about it. For his inspirations of the overall style of the film, Zimitor lists horror films like The Innocents and The Haunting being the direct inspirations for Haunt as a whole. As said before, Zimitor made the film while he was in college, making it in his bedroom using old scraps of wood to build miniature sets, with Zimitor even resorting to using a pulled-out drawer for the main bedroom set. Adding to the overall creepiness of the interior sets, Zimitor would ask friends' sisters to borrow their old dollhouse furniture. For the exterior shots of the house, Zimitor would use miniature fake grass, bushes, and trees that are commonly used in diorama models. For the characters of the film, Zimitor would build a small armature out of plasticine, wire, and masking tape, and made heads out of air-dry clay, which is similar to what professional stop-motion animators use to create their characters, albeit in a less professional way. For the soundtrack, Zimitor would just use music that he liked and thought was creepy and appropriate for the film, while as long as he could obtain an MP3 file of the song in question. Haunt is a stop-motion short film, so obviously Zimitor used that style to animate his story, but instead of using a traditional photography camera to animate his footage, Zimitor instead used a DV camera to animate the short. About halfway through production, Zimitor's DV camera would break down, leading him to cheat animate the remaining sequences, which gives the film a very jerky quality at times, but in my opinion it just adds to the charm and makes it even more creepy. Anyways, the film begins with the title card, which then zooms into a house at night, with the Pink Floyd song Is Anybody Out There playing in the background. We then cut into the interior of the house, where we see a girl in a white dress with black eyes, blonde hair, and an expressionless face walking down the house hallway, and to her supposed bedroom. We then cut to the girl opening the door into her bedroom, with the Pink Floyd song ending, for which the track Prisonionic Fairy Tale from the video game Silent Hill 2 is then played in its place. Anyways, the girl then walks into her bedroom and then gets into her bed, with her just looking around her room, focusing on the clock on the nearby bedside table, while the track Prisonionic Fairy Tale fades away into the background. She then focuses her attention away from the clock onto the window, but on closer inspection a jump scare occurs when she sees a scary figure outside her house.
Now that's the bitch from The Grudge. Don't fuck with her.
The girl then cowers in fear while the track The Darkness That Lurks in Our Mind, also from the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack, plays in the background. After covering her eyes, the girl then looks outside again and thinks that the figure has gone away, but is then scared again when it appears right in front of her window, with the figure running off to the other side of the house. Again, the girl thinks that the figure has now gone away, but then the girl sees something outside her window again and covers her face and shakingly cowers into her bed once again, as the music further intensifies. It's then revealed to us that the figure is now inside the house, with this shot of the girl's room being opened, which is probably the only part of the film that isn't stop motion, although I could be wrong. The girl then hides into her bed and pretends that she's sleeping, with the film fading to black, until a brief jump scare then occurs for the final shot of the movie, showing the figure's face in full view. The film then cuts the credits, and that's where the story ends for Haunt, but not for the other videos that Glenn Zimitor has made and posted to YouTube. On November 4th, 2006, just a day after he uploaded Haunt, Zimitor uploaded an animated short on the GRZ YouTube channel called Nature Embodied, which is a semi-music video for the Bjork song Unravel. A year later, on December 1st, 2007, Zimitor would post a short film called Lots of Graphite, which is a short film that he made in college. Both of the following shorts are barely a minute long, with them taking a more casual style rather than a horror one. And on October 23rd, 2009, Zimitor would release his final short film to his YouTube channel, called Sing Along, which definitely has some horror elements to it, but it's nowhere near as iconic as Haunt was. On October 26, 2009, Zimitor would release his final known short film, which was a stop-motion music video for the song Charlie Darwin by the band The Low Anthem, which was uploaded to their record label's YouTube channel, Nonsuch Records. Besides Haunt, I think that this music video is probably his best work, although I'm not a fan of the music itself. I'm just not an indie rock person. But although Sing Along was Zimitor's last short film uploaded to his YouTube channel, that didn't mean it was the last time he was active on the site. Sometime in 2014, Zimitor returned to YouTube in the form of an update in the description to Haunt's YouTube upload, saying that he was really pleased with the reaction to his short film, and said that he might remake it in the future. The reason why Zimitor wanted to remake the film is that his brother's nightmare was actually way longer than the film itself, and the short film only showed the beginning of the story, and to this day it's still unknown for what the rest of the story may be, with Zimitor stating in the meantime that whatever happens next is left up to you. Sometime in 2019, Zimitor would return again to the Haunt video description to post an update, reflecting on the fact that the short film now has over 1 million views and further reflects upon the making of the film itself, which is where I got all the information on how he made the film in the first place. He also reiterates that he might remake the film in the future, but he just needs to find time for it, as he's raising a family and is of course preoccupied with that, as well as having a job as a creative director at BAM Global. And like that, that's where the story ends for Haunt, my favorite Weird Side of YouTube video of all time. As for why it's my favorite Weird Side of YouTube video is something that I can't really answer, as again, it's not the most scary / creepy video to me personally, nor is it the most well made with fancy production value. But though the story is short, it's extremely well done in both its presentation and its pacing. Though the stop motion is extremely jerky and nowhere near professional, it adds to the eeriness of the overall film, and I think without it, the short wouldn't be as effective as it was. And I'm not the only one who thinks this, as the YouTube upload for Haunt has over 1 million views, with many commenting on how terrifying the video still is to this day, as many who are my age watched this video when they were kids and found it terrifying. It's unknown when Haunt initially blew up on YouTube, as there's nothing I can find on the Wayback Machine, but my guess is that it either blew up at the time, because the time the short was released in 2006 was also when YouTube was a fairly new site, or if it gained traction after its release, as like a creepy, underground, underappreciated gem of old school YouTube. Regardless, as I'm recording this video, Haunt has over 1,300,000 views, with this video being included on many Weird Side of YouTube video playlists. And though it's popular, it still isn't as big or as celebrated as the likes of I Feel Fantastic or blankroomsoup.avi. And on YouTube iceberg charts, which often feature many weird side of YouTube videos, Haunt is usually omitted from these charts. Though it's sad that Haunt isn't as celebrated as much as its contemporaries, I still think that this again adds to the charm of the video and that very few still talk about it to this day. The comments are always a joy to look through and see people's reactions and nostalgia towards the video shine through, with many just like me commenting on how chilling the stop motion looks in the film. There's something about watching a stop motion horror film in that old school 240p resolution and a 4:3 aspect ratio that just puts you in that right mood for viewing at any time, especially late at night. And on the subject of horror, what scares or creeps us out is a matter of subjectivity, as everybody has their own individual tastes and fears. As Zimitor once said, I really enjoyed that there are people out there with similar tastes to me who it struck a chord with. And to those whom it didn't, good for you. Horror is a very divisive genre. Everybody's got a different thing that scares them. Every weird side of YouTube video has this type of subjectivity when it comes to its fear factor. And naturally, everybody is going to have their own opinion when it comes to which video is the most disturbing and which isn't. And once again, Haunt isn't the most disturbing weird side of YouTube video for me personally. That honor goes to the Dude Man 2 videos. Those videos are completely fucking spine chilling and make my skin crawl.
What the fuck is this shit? What the fuck? Son, what is this?
But one thing that the Dude Man 2 videos don't have is that rewatchability that Haunt most certainly has. For some reason or another, I always come back to this video. Maybe it's the stop motion, maybe it's the setting, or maybe it's just the age of the video itself. But regardless, I still have no idea why I come back to this video in the first place. But you know what they say, the scariest things of all are those that are unknown. And for this story, I think that's a good place to end it. So thanks for watching, and of course, stay safe and have a happy Halloween.